What's up, everybody? It's your boy Kizzle. I'm joined today with Celastro. If you guys didn't know this already, he is my co-host on my Twitch stream. We are streaming Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, please stop by and show us some love. We would love to have you. But with that, let's dive into something cool, new, and interesting. Awaken Chaos Era has actually dropped a new unit. It's called Guerrelle. Garrell? Guerrelle? How?
Yeah, Guerrelle. I think it's
sounds
Guerrelle.
good. I'm going to go with Guerrelle. I figured you would have corrected me if it were really Garrell pretty quickly there. So,
no, I would have made some stupid joke about it.
Well, if we were on stream, half of the stream would have corrected it. So we just got done streaming. So I'm used to being corrected at this point. With that, Guerrelle is a red affinity unit. He's dropping around 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So in a couple hours from when we recorded this, I'm probably going to publish this tomorrow morning, though. This is going to be our first impressions of the unit based off of the video. Now, as you guys can see here, we have laid out the kit in our classic Raid Shadow Legends PowerPoint here, and we're going to kind of roughly go through these abilities and give you guys our essential first impressions, and then we will also do a full-blown character guide once this guy actually officially drops, and somebody that we know whales enough to actually get him. But we wanted to do an impression of Guerrelle and kind of tell you guys what we thought so far. So I'm going to let Celastro kind of go through all this really quickly, and then I'll add my thoughts afterwards.
Sure. So he's really interesting in the fact that he is one of the first champions to have kind of a stance. So he generates rage with his basic abilities, and every attack he does will generate a rage. And when he gets to his max rage, he actually switches into Flaming Azura, and he grows 4 or 6 arms out of his back, and he becomes insanely powerful. It buffs all of his abilities, and that'll last 2 turns. From the video, it looks like the buff lasts 2 turns, which is a little short. I kind of wish it was up for longer than that, since it takes a while to actually build up. But it basically turns all his abilities into having additional scaling with his health. So he's really a bruiser unit. He does a lot of damage, and he can take a lot of damage too, because he has a lot of health to take those hits. And that's going to be really, really useful in Void Tower specifically, where a lot of times you just can't, you can deal damage, but you can't take it. So he's going to be a great addition to those teams. His basic ability just does damage to one enemy, and it'll actually deal increased damage if they have any buffs. It looks from the video like it's going to be about 15%, but we'll have to wait for the champion to actually come out to see what that actually is. And that's going to be really great, again, in Void Tower, in Arena, against those brands that have those shields. So he's going to have basic damage increase on his first ability.
And one thing to jump in there, we don't know this yet, but in the video, they're actually only showing one buff. So we don't know if it's going to be multiplicative or additive or just 15%. We really don't know yet. It could actually be more damage.
Yep, it could be 15% per buff, which would be nuts.
Keep going.
Yep, sure. His special ability, so his second ability, when he's attacked, he actually counterattacks once per turn, and he has a built-in 30% lifesteal into that attack. So if someone hits him and doesn't kill him, he's going to deal some damage back to them and then heal for 30% of that damage, which again is really, really good for Void Tower. You're going to build him with high health because everything scales with health with him, and he's just going to take those hits, dish him back, and heal himself up. So far I'm impressed.
Nice.
And then his ultimate. Now, he does a new thing that we don't have in this game yet. Cyrus is the only other champion with this ability. He puts up Defense Pierce, but from the video, it looks like it's Defense Pierce 2, which will mean it will ignore 50% of the enemy defense, which is massive, especially in this Void Tower rotation. That basically completely negates the affix of the Void Tower on hard. 50% damage reduction, or defense reduction, he just ignores it. So it's like there's no affix on that tower. He just hits them hard. And he buffs himself up with attack up 1, which is just 30%. But I think we're going to want to build him mostly with health to get the most damage out of his trait. So Defense Pierce 2 is a huge deal. It's going to be great on Tulpa, who is the highest defense boss in the game. So if you're having trouble breaking that shield, he's going to help out a lot. In Arena, to take out those Mathasias, they're rezzing the whole team and killing you. On the Void Tower stages where those CCs are annoying, he's a counter affinity to CC, so he's going to be able to nuke those down. He's actually going to be really useful.
He seems like a single target bruiser, Right now, that's something I was like really
Yeah.
excited about with this particular game. Is I love playing bruisers. Bruisers were meta in PvP the entire time I played Epic 7. So bruiser, for those of you guys that don't know, it's going to be an HP or defense build unit that you're going to go for 100% crit rate with, and you're also going to scale crit damage while you're focusing on HP. Now with this guy, we don't know all that for sure yet. I'm just speaking to what you would normally do with a bruiser. But since his damage scales off of HP and he deals quite a bit of damage, another quick caveat to that is his damage will likely scale somewhat off of attack as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't have an attack buff. But whenever we get some coders to kind of dive into the code a little bit, and we get some more information on how damage really scales in this game, eventually we'll have calculators. We'll see exactly what happens here. Until then, we have to kind of speculate a little bit. But I think a bruiser with defense pierce 2 and attack up, oof, and the lifesteal, this guy might be completely meta shifting. I mean, this could be a must-have, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's the first real bruiser type. There's some champions that scale off of HP and defense, but you don't really build them with a lot of crit rate or crit damage because most of that is off of true damage, which can't crit. This will be the first unit that scales off of his HP that can crit with those abilities. So
the only other thing I've seen in the game so far, because honestly, the way the game's going, having crit rate on the ring especially, I kind of thought right off the bat, we're going to see bruisers. They're going to be meta in this game in no time. We are seeing the tank meta right now, but the only thing I've seen that's similar to this is Hackrin does slap on his A2. I haven't seen somebody yet with a nice Hackrin bruiser build, but I would imagine with the way that ability scales, that thing probably could one shot a counter affinity with if it's built and tuned properly in min max. And I think we're going to see this guy be just the absolute destroyer of Mythasia's, which we need right now because Mythasia is really part of the problem with the current PvP meta, in my opinion. So.
Yep. I completely agree.
But no, I think this guy's gonna be huge.
And when the video first came out, I was a little skeptical because I was thinking, man, we already have so many fire element single target damage dealers. We have Cyrus, we have Hector, we have Aurak, we have all these champions that do a lot of single target damage that are already of this element. But when I reread his kit and thought about it, I was like, wow, okay, this guy actually does bring something special, being that bruiser and not just an attack champion. He can take those hits too.
No, I think he really does. I think there's something unique in him. And then, honestly, guys, this is kind of like we always try to talk about the business side of stuff on my channel. So one thing you'll see a lot is I think Ace is doing smart things with their business model today. Now, if you look at the Epic 7 business model, anytime a new unit is released, there's a high probability that that new unit is going to incorporate itself immediately into the meta. Right now, it's an opportunity, right, for the game developer to resolve the issues within the current meta without going in and adjusting kits, which usually frustrates the player base. Right, so right now you have stall teams. Stall teams are where it's at. You're going to build them super tanky, and the big part of your stall teams is Mythasia because of that res. I personally think this guy is set up today, and the reason he's red affinity, because your first comment, Celastro, was I don't know why he's red affinity. I think we know why now. He's meant to counter Mythasia in PvP. Yeah. I think that's his main purpose.
Yep.
So
I think Mythasia in PvP, Mythasia in the Void Tower can be really annoying too. And honestly, a lot of people got stuck with Cece on the Void Tower because she starts out the round with 2 buffs on herself where she negates all damage and all debuffs. And in the video, they don't have this written in any part of his kit, but in the video, we see this Garrell champion take bonus turns. And my guess, I don't know yet. I mean, I'll probably be proven wrong or right by the time this video's out. But it looks like his trait that turns him into that Flaming Azura with all those bonus firearms, when it's not ascended, just puts him in that state. When he's at Ascension, I believe that will also grant him a bonus turn. That's my guess. I don't know. Prove me wrong. Prove me right.
No, I think it's a good guess. That was the first thing we as soon as we saw bonus turn granted, we kind of thought, well, I thought at first it was curse set, and then I realized it was a full turn. It wasn't just the ability. So we were immediately looking through the details of the abilities to try to figure out what that is. And then Celastro was like, man, maybe it's the A2, which is a really great point. It could definitely be that way. And, this looks like a must-have unit across the board, though, guys, especially if you're struggling in PvP or if you're struggling with the Void Tower. But generally speaking, if it's half of the bruiser unit that we think it's going to be, it's going to be worth going after. I think bruiser meta is always a beautiful counter to stall meta. So this is a great way to counter. It's very subtle. You don't want to go in and have an absolute glass cannon that ignores defense. That's the unsubtle way to, counter a stall meta. So I like the approach, as we do with most things with this game developer.
Yeah, it's real smart. Again, another smart move by the devs. Like they're impressive with their game knowledge and their ability to tune the entire meta by shifting just a small thing really says a lot about them.
It's so cool when you see something happen and you're like scratching your head at first, like, why would they do that? Like that's what we were kind of thinking on stream. Why would they have another single target, red damage dealer? Then you start to think about it a little bit and it starts to unfold and you're like, oh, that's exactly what. Okay, that makes sense. Much unlike we like to bash raid a little bit here, but unlike raid where some champions come out and you're like, I don't know what they're thinking here. I really don't know. I don't know who's going to buy this thing. This one. And to be honest, guys, if you haven't played Epic 7, this is a lot of what it's like to play Epic 7. A unit comes out, it shifts the meta just the right amount in most cases. And not to say there aren't exceptions, there certainly are. And you get to have fun with it. You get to anticipate what that unit is going to do, and then you kind of as soon as you get that teaser, you start to kind of figure out how you're going to go about building it. And in Epic 7, typically we see the kits a week before the unit's released, or maybe sometimes it's like 48 hours. Actually, I think it is 48 hours. So I like that they teased us with this just a couple hours, before the actual unit's released. So I hope we get to see a lot more of this, and I like the fact that they're copying Epic 7 and showing us the teaser first too. I think that's a good move. Cool. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We just want to do a really quick video to give you guys our first impressions of Guerrelle, and we're going to be dropping at least a video a day coming, moving forward for Ace. It's going to be Celastro and I both. And join us if you haven't already on Twitch, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is Kizzle and Celastro signing out.
Sir.